my name is Carola, and in today's video I'm talking to Lily from Je t'aime neither.
Hi Carola, so nice to see you again. It's been a while.
I remember when you launched your third book and it was confinement, and we hit this really cute launch party virtually.
Yes.
And now we're sitting here in person.
So much nicer.
Yes, indeed.
No, I remember, and we met up in Parc Monceau so that I could give you a copy of the book. So that was probably the last time we saw each other. Time flies.
Yeah. Tell the audience what you do and who are you?
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me. So my name's Lily Heise, and I am a writer based here in Paris. I have a little specialty in romantic Paris, but I also talk about other topics on my website, Je t'aime neither. But I've also written 3 books on Paris, 2 romantic books, and one that was a little different that you mentioned just now. There's only one Paris. And I also do tours here in Paris, and so I keep busy with lots of activities.
What's the thing you most love to show people who come to Paris?
Oh, that's a good question. So we are here meeting in my neighborhood, Montmartre, and so that's probably my favorite place because people don't realize all the secrets and hidden gems there are up in Montmartre. So many people just go up to Sacré-Cœur and Place de Tertre, the Artist Square. However, I like to show people some of the lesser known aspects of the neighborhood and also places linked to the artistic heritage of the neighborhood, because this was the center of the bohemian Paris and artistic Paris at the end of the 1800s and early 1900s.
Yeah, I think it's still a little bit of an artist quarter. You can still go up and to the Place de Tertre and buy all these beautiful pictures and paintings.
Yes, that's correct. So it still is an artistic district in the city, and there are a lot of art studios as well in the neighborhood. So there are still artists practicing here.
Yeah, it feels completely different to, for example, the 17th where I live. So you come here and every house has a different color and it's so beautiful.
Yes.
Though I don't like the steps.
Oh, well, we were talking about all the walking we do in Paris before. So yes, the one issue with Montmartre are its 32 staircases.
Yes.
There are quite a lot. To get to my house, I live up, not at the very top, but close to the very top. So to get home, I have to walk up a small set of stairs, not a big one, but then there's a steep street that's like about this. But Montmartre is particularly charming because it used to be a village outside the city center, which is why it has all of those smaller, different buildings that you were talking about just now.
So what made you move to Paris in the first place?
I'm originally from Canada, and I did part of my studies in Paris. I studied art and art history and fell in love with the city instantly. It was a coup de foudre, or love at first sight, like they say in French. And I moved back here and just found a way to stay in another way, and then a longer visa. And then I applied and received French nationality 7 years ago. So I'm also Française. Yes. I like to call myself Montmartroise above all. Someone who resides in Montmartre. So I've been living in Paris for about 20 years. Time flies, that's for sure.
Indeed. Well, I mean, I'm meant to be here for 2 years, and now it's 6 or almost 7 years, and yeah, time flies, and also it drags you in. And what comes after Paris?
It's very hard, and so I will probably live here unless some life exciting thing happens and I go somewhere else. But until I retire, I don't think I will retire in Paris. I think I would like to be by the seaside somewhere.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, if you're 80 years old and then all these steps, that might be a little bit of a problem.
Absolutely. The poor, anyone with walking difficulties, Montmartre is not the best neighborhood. But living at the base of Montmartre, we're closer to the base now, where we're seated. It's not as bad, but up on top of the hill, with any walking
Yeah, actually, that's what's stopping me from considering Montmartre, even though it's beautiful. But I can imagine having furniture delivered is quite crazy, and
All
or
of
even just
that.
normal shopping.
Yes, yes. So I tend to shop a few times a week for that reason. I live near Rue des Abbesses, which is a lovely part of Montmartre. It's a little bit more the local part of Montmartre,
Yes.
and it's lined with shops. Now, the traditional shops are slowly kind of being taken over by clothing and kind of mid-range kind of shops, but Montmartre is still a very living neighborhood. The Marais is another neighborhood I really love, but you need to really be based in just a few areas of the Marais if you want to have a bakery, for example, because there's a dead zone in the center, whereas Montmartre is not really like that. There are lots of food shops for the locals of the neighborhood too. So even though it is a touristy neighborhood and a shopping neighborhood, Parisians love to come up to Montmartre on weekends. They come and have brunch and go for a little stroll around, but it's still a very living neighborhood too.
And usually it's not as cold. Like we really chose the only day where it says snow and freezing and -2 degrees.
I was looking up at the sky earlier. Like I do have to say, I was a little afraid a few days ago when the weather had the snowflake, but
Yes.
we're bundled up, and so it's
indeed.
actually not so bad.
Exactly. I mean, I could have layered up a little bit more, but it's fine. And we found a really nice street and a really nice cafe here. Let's talk about your website. What can we find on the website?
My website, I've had it for just over 10 years, so for quite a long time. Originally, my website was connected to my first book, which is called Je t'aime neither, like the website. And the idea was to show a different side of romantic Paris, in the sense that I like to encourage people to do things that connect with the city, that are original and authentic experiences. And so instead of just going and taking pictures of the Eiffel Tower, why not discover a secret garden that has maybe a romantic history to it? I encourage people to go on strolls in less busy areas so that it has a more of a romantic allure. I did a series, so there are all kinds of articles, and I also publish my travel articles for other websites there too, just a little snippet. So if you're not interested in romantic things, you can still find lots of interesting content on my site. But no one at the time, and still today, no one was specializing in romantic Paris. And people often say Paris is the most romantic city in the world, or the city of love. So this was an opportunity to have a niche. And I think it's important to have a niche so that you're kind of representing, you become the expert in that topic. And I've scoured the city looking for the most romantic places. And that could be, like I mentioned before, a secret garden or quiet streets, which are very picturesque. Small museums are another favorite of mine. Because this offers that intimate setting for a romantic, for romance to spark. So, and I've written, because people then have asked me about where to meet people. So I have a few articles on, I need to do some updated ones, but a few articles on where you can meet people in Paris. So that's another topic. I also travel around France, and I travel around the world, especially in winter, and discover romantic places around the planet too. Yeah, so there are all these articles. I had a series on the top 10 romantic places per district, so that's a popular series still on my website, but there are lots of other thematic articles too, on romantic restaurants or bars or places to propose even, so all kinds of topics. But like I said, also things for non-romantic travelers, but who maybe love Paris and are looking for something a bit different.
And I like the idea of separating Paris in arrondissements, because each one is quite different. And your third book that I read during confinement was hopping from one arrondissement to the next one with its special flair. It was really
Yes.
fun.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Carola. And I wrote that book in confinement as a kind of confinement project because we were stuck here in Paris. Worst places to be stuck, but it was also a way to have those people who love Paris who couldn't travel here virtually. And so that was another thing about the book is it was offering this opportunity to very visually experience the city and kind of an ethereal way of emotions too, and to give people hope that they would be able to return to Paris once again, which is the case, of course.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, confinement in Paris wasn't the greatest. Like we had 1 kilometer around us, and in the first one the parks were closed.
Yes.
But we met in the second one when the
Yes,
parks were open.
exactly.
And
That was much better.
yes, indeed.
Yes. And I was quite lucky living up here in Montmartre during confinement because of the fact that this is so picturesque here, but you could see the rest of the city from here. So it felt a little less constricted because of the beautiful views one can have up here in Montmartre. And actually, I wrote an article on the best viewpoints in Montmartre during confinement because I was going and discovering them all. I think I walked every street in that 1 kilometer radius. So,
Yeah, I remember in the first one I was living in the 9th and you were in the 18th.
Yeah,
and
not
so
far.
I think we had like one or two streets that would overlap.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, and we talked about meeting up then, and then we met up instead later on.
I moved to the 8th to next to Parc Monceau at
Okay.
that point. That's why we met there.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Yeah, nice part of the city. I love the Parc Monceau.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, yeah.
I still live near Parc Monceau.
Yeah, 'cause
but
you
now it's from the
moved.
other side. So I was in the 8th and now I'm in the 17th, but Parc Monceau is still there.
Nearby.
It's super safe.
Yes.
So I can see women running after dark with headphones on, just jogging. So I feel that's the best indicator of it being safe.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you. And the 17th is certainly among the safest neighborhoods, and it's very picturesque. You know, I've done some research and I've written on an area in the 17th called the Plaine Monceau. Do you know about the Plaine
that's
Monceau?
exactly, that's exactly where I live. Right,
Yeah, it's a
of
fascinating
course
area.
I read that, and
Yeah, and I write I do a podcast as well, and so if you're interested in podcasts,
Okay, what you're talking about on your podcast?
yeah, well, it's an extension of my topics I do on my website because what we do though is a bit more in depth. Each episode travels around the arrondissements, a little bit like my print series or my series on my website, but we go around to the arrondissements and we discover one romantic place. But I try to find a romantic place that has maybe a romantic story behind it, and several we have. I've uncovered things I never would have imagined. It's quite some titillating and surprising stories too. So that's been lots of fun. And so right now it's bi-weekly and in seasons, because I was just quite busy. But you can find it on the Paris Underground Radio website. That's
I'll link everything down below. So the
fantastic.
Website, the podcast, the books,
fantastic.
anything. So I hope you want to meet Lily and get to know all of her projects, and you'll find them down below.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. So that I'm always excited to learn new things about Paris, and I share those on tours as well. So I have a few romantically themed tours, but I do other topics because I'm a tour guide for private groups, and I do, of course, a great tour on Montmartre, but also the Marais, which I mentioned before, is another neighborhood I love, and the secrets of the Latin Quarter, for example. There are all kinds of fascinating places that people don't know about, and I also do a few more offbeat ones, but also do tours for people coming for the first time and discovering the history of the city too. Carola, before we wrap up, I have a little present for you since you came up to Montmartre, and I know that you have a little bit of a sweet tooth.
I do.
And there's a specialty up in Montmartre, and you could choose which one you want. I got us a little treat. There is one of France's most famous desserts is a madeleine. You recognize them, and looks like a seashell on the back. And the best madeleines in Paris probably are made here in Montmartre by Gilles Le Marchal, who was like a high-end pastry chef for luxury hotels, restaurants. He has a shop up here in Montmartre, and his specialty, he does lots of nice pastries and chocolates, but his specialty is the madeleine, because madeleines come from Nancy, or from eastern France, and that's where he's from. He's from the Lorraine, and this one,
Thank you.
yeah, it's
And it looks like there's like little herbs on top of it.
that's why I chose it. I thought it would be more original. It's
Yes.
thyme and lemon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. And so I thought, since you liked, I remember seeing you talk in your videos about pastries, so I thought this would be something different. I know you like macaron,
I do.
but this is a little different. And so then the other one I got is hazelnut and coffee.
Wow.
Yeah, if you want, you can try it too, but both look good.
Half and half.
Yeah, let's do half and half, and then, but they have plain flavors as well. But I thought, why not get two original flavors? Let me just, it's a little stuck. And then, yeah, we can do half and half. Whoop. Just a little fun aspect to there you go. You're welcome.
So we have the lemon and thyme.
Yeah, we'll do a taste testing, so. Nice, huh? I've had this one before. Yummy.
And you definitely, you have the lemon, you have the thyme, you have it's really all there.
And fluffy. You can get them individual, or you can buy boxes. And he has other things too. So if you're looking for a snack and you're walking around Montmartre, it's on Rue Ravignon. So just a fun little, since I know you
thank
like
you.
pastries, I thought that I would pick these up. I passed by it on my way down here.
You can really feel the coffee in the dough.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So when you're walking by there, it's awfully tempting if it's in the morning when they're baking.
Thank you so much for being in my video. It was lovely catching up.
It was wonderful to see you, Carola, and to share my updates. Hopefully, I'll be back on, maybe with warmer weather. We'll go to a little secret area. It'd be lovely to show you around a lesser known spot and to show your audience that too.
I'd love that. And yeah, I think it will be very easy to find warmer weather than today.
I'm pretty sure.
Like -2 to 3 degrees.
Yeah, but we survived, and
Exactly.
it was a pleasure regardless.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. It was a lovely way to spend the Sunday.
Wonderful for me too.
Okay, bye-bye.